Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. And I was hoping to be making a video about working on this Porsche today, but unfortunately I'm not. Being the guy who repairs things and doesn't pay people to repair things, that means I fix all the things. So today I'm gonna have to take care of our other tow vehicle, the Porsche Cayenne GTS that we have over here has a little bit of an issue. So I'm gonna get into that and show what I'm gonna do to fix it. All right, so just a little bit about this vehicle and how it came to be for us. Before the Cayenne, my girl had a WRX, which was a really fun car. However, it was very, very worn out. The suspension was completely toast on it. It needed a lot of regular maintenance. And the bigger thing was we needed a second tow vehicle, because at the time we had 2 race cars, 2 trailers, but only 1 tow vehicle. If you know anything about these Cayennes and Touaregs and Audi Q5 or 7s, they all share the same chassis. They're very small. They're pretty good on gas mileage. And they have an incredibly high towing capacity, especially for the size, higher than almost all mid-size SUVs. And they have air suspension, which is awesome, big brakes. So they're really a cool, very cool, small little niche vehicle. Now, we test drove all the different Cayennes, diesels, base models, S's. She didn't like any of them. I wanted her to get a diesel because of the gas mileage, obviously. She didn't like it, it wasn't fast enough. And some lucky salesman showed her a GTS. Now, I'm gonna admit, I fell in love with this thing probably even more than she did. It's very fast, it's very comfortable, it's really nice. The only problem with it is obviously it's a very expensive Volkswagen, so it has, Volkswagen type problems on it. So this thing has had a little bit of a coolant smell to it for a little bit. It's never overheated, it's never dropped any fluid, but I knew there was some kind of very slow leak with coolant, and I finally discovered what it was. Thank God, because it just started to get up into the hot range once, and yeah, luckily I was able to kind of pinpoint the problem. So I'm going to get into what that is and how I'm going to fix it today, and let's get it knocked out. All right, I'm going to show you where I discovered the coolant leak. Like I said, it's a very, very small leak, and I could smell coolant sometimes after this thing ran really hot, but it never dripped anywhere. And it's a very faint smell, but if you know that smell, you know it. So I wasn't able to find it until recently, but I'll show you where it is. So as it turns out, this is a pretty common issue for all Cayennes and probably other Porsches too. When you're looking for coolant leaks, I mean, where do you even start, right? The coolant reservoir, by the way, is up there where you can't see how much coolant's in it, so that's good. But I just started taking a very close look. I could actually hear a hissing after this thing ran, and it sounded like a pressurized line leaking. If you look right down there, you can see it there. That is coolant. And if you look right there, that is what's called a coolant vent hose. And so when this thing was cooling down, I could hear just the slightest hiss from that line. And like I said, there's a little puddle of pinkish coolant over there. And so there is a crossover pipe that goes from this side of the lower intake to that side. It might even be the cylinder heads, honestly, I don't know. But it's under all of this mess. So obviously you've got your throttle body on here. There's all kinds of sensors and pumps and doodads. These are high pressure fuel lines, it looks like. And honestly, this is a little intimidating for someone who likes to work on Japanese cars and Fords, which are real easy. But at the end of the day, it's all just mechanical stuff. So with a little bit of YouTube university research, and probably a little bit too much confidence, I'm just gonna go ahead and dig into it. All right, it's time for me to do a little bit more research. Never be too proud to stop and do research. My biggest tip on working on cars like this is there's a lot of plastic connectors, harness plugs. Make sure you know how to disconnect those without breaking them, because you don't want to be in a situation where you break it and now you got to scramble and get to a dealership, and it's a Saturday or a Sunday or it's the 4th of July and you can't get there. So take your time, do a little bit of homework. I'm gonna do that right now. So what I'm really trying to do is just kind of get things out of the way at the top of the intake manifold. I'm not necessarily trying to unbolt everything and take it completely out of the vehicle. The less I can do, the better. But there's just so many hoses and connectors that are sitting on top of this thing, and the hose that I gotta get to is directly underneath this intake manifold. So nothing else I can do. Just keep taking stuff out of the way. this right here, this is the coolant vent hose. This runs underneath all this mess here and goes back that way. So I think I just need to free this thing up, pull it up out of the side. So I'll get this stuff out of the way and see if I can get to that guy and get it out, and then we'll start putting the new one in. So guys, this is the new part, and this is where it was leaking, just barely. I couldn't see any cracks in it or anything like that, but I knew it was leaking there because I could hear it, and then you could see a little bit of coolant near it. I just touched it a little bit, and look, it broke clean off. That's not unbolted, it just snapped, so it was definitely broken there. So that's a good sign, at least we're on the right track. I think this thing is an air pump back here, this big old guy. So the hose that we're trying to replace, this guy, is running underneath. I was hoping I could just undo this and get away with it, but it looks like it's going underneath whatever this thing was mounted to. So that's fun. And then this attaches to this guy. Cool. Thanks, Porsche. That's fun. All right, well, just keep doing it, I guess. You know, I'm gonna have to undo this stuff. Just quit bitching about it and do it. All right, fine. So this guy's kind of in the way. Harness we can pull out of the way. All right. Now what? It feels like it's bolted. I gotta do some more looking, because I'm not trying to break whatever this thing is. It does not look inexpensive. I still don't know what's holding that little manifold thing down, but that's covering the coolant line. But this air pump thing, where is it, right there? I think that's gotta come out, just because if you see this big wiring harness coming down there, it connects to this big manifold here, whatever it is. And underneath that is exactly where the coolant line connects, of course. So this is the coolant line that we're replacing. You can see it's got like a barb fitting on the end, and that is conveniently located underneath whatever that thing is. So looks like another opportunity for me to disassemble more stuff. So I'm gonna try and get the air pump out of the way and then tackle whatever that thing is. Oh, okay. That didn't feel good. Oh, cool, because it broke it. Oh my God, that's a problem. Well, great. God damn it. Well, that sucks. Brittle plastic just broke. All right, the upside is I get out of the way. Downside is now I get to replace it. God damn it. Oh. Okay, I think it's time for more homework. Oh, what that? Ooh, I might have found it. All right, some good news. Found some more hidden bolts. I'm gonna get those off, and that should be what's holding on this plastic manifold thing that's covering the coolant line. Now, can I get to it? I don't know, but we're gonna try. There's one. So it's hard to tell, but there's a black piece of plastic that's running from about here to here. And underneath that is where our coolant hose is routed. This vent pipe, it goes from cylinder head to cylinder head, and then it goes out the back. I've freed up all the bolts that hold this, plastic, I'm calling it a manifold. I don't know what it really is called, but this doohickey here, there's this crossover pipe here. You can just see it. This aluminum pipe or stainless pipe that runs from one side to the other. Well, this plastic dealy guy cannot come up because it's hitting that rail or that connector pipe. So I think I'm gonna have to break it free here and break it free here. Of course, that's gonna spray fuel everywhere. And then once that gets out, hopefully I can lift that thing up enough to get access to that coolant pipe. So let's see how that goes. It's already leaking, but it's not spraying, it's just dribbling. All right, so this is definitely more free-ish now. And now it's being held on by this guy. Can this come out of the way? That would be nice. I'm trying not to hurt the electrical connector, it's near. Okay, so what we're getting at again is we're trying to get to the end of this barb fitting hose. So this guy, this is what we're replacing, goes under all that crap and it goes to the back. These are simple bolt-ins with O-rings up here. Those are easy, one's already broken. The other one just been unbolted. And I'm trying to get to that barb fitting, and I just was able to get that plastic manifold thing up, but check out where this barb fitting is located. Like, you know, you can just slip a hose off of it, right? If you can get to it. That's where it is. That's where the barb fitting is, under that, which is attached to all this crap with the wiring attachment, that big harness there. It's some big plasticky guy, and they decided, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna make the end just a slip-on hose. See these 3 colored dots? So you got about 2 inches after that. There's those dots. Right there. Going into whatever that is. So now, I gotta figure out what all this stuff is and how to detach it without breaking everything and lift that up and then be able to get to the hose. Woo! The fun continues. What an opportunity. All right, so here's what I've decided to do. Instead of removing that entire assembly, for lack of a better term, I don't know what it's called, I think I can actually get that old hose removed from it. There's a clamp on the backside of that barb fitting, and it's a squeezy clamp, but not a traditional one. And instead of fighting this thing, since I'm tossing out that old coolant pipe, I think I'm just gonna snip it right near where the barb fitting has the flare, and then I'll be able to pull it back out with the hose clamp, undo the hose clamp and pull that hose out from back there, because that's the only thing that's keeping it locked into the back, is where that barb fitting is. It can't fit through with this little plastic bracket thing that retains it. And so if I snip it off at the front end, since that part's going in the trash anyways, I can then pull the rubber hose out, undo the line or the clamp, and then I'll be able to put the new one in. And then hopefully with the hose clamp now opened up and being able to get a tool on it, I can then reconnect them from the back to the front. So, I don't know, let's give it a shot. Oh yeah. Okay, now I can unscrew it up here at the front and pull it out. All right. There we go. This is the old coolant hose here. I believe this white is from where it's been leaking this whole time. It's split right here before I even unbolted, so this thing was definitely on its last legs. Wow. All right, I'm gonna have to definitely put a little more work into this, because if you can see, this is the end of this thing, and I'm trying to pop it out carefully, and it's still disintegrating inside. So this is what happens when you use plastic in your coolant components. Over time, it just becomes very brittle and falls apart. So I'm gonna have to carefully dig this all out of the intake there and make sure to have it all nice and clean before I put the new one in. This is where the old coolant fitting was, and where it fell apart inside. I just dug it out, and we're gonna see what happens on the passenger side here. You can see it sitting right here. So let's see if that guy will come out a little bit cleaner, or if it's gonna have to be scooped out as well. Gentle, oh boy, it's definitely falling apart again. I can feel it. The top half is just disintegrating from the bottom half. Oh, might have come out. Might have got it. Oh, no. No such luck. I can see there's a piece sitting there. And if you look down, there's the rest of it. So I'm gonna have to scoop it out, make sure I get it nice and clean. But yeah, it's amazing how the plastic just disintegrates. All right, my next step, I discovered that there's a lot of coolant that's probably been leaking over time down in that valley. You see that red, brownish red fluid? It's way down in there. I'll shine the light just right. You can see it here. Where is that light? There, oh, right there. That's all coolant that's been resting down this valley, and that explains the smell
because as this thing gets hot, it starts to evaporate off the block as it gets warm. So I've rigged together my shop vac. This really funny looking deal here. It's got some duct tape, don't worry about that. But I'm hoping that's enough to let me get down there and suck that all out. I'd love for the smell to go away. That way I know if it does smell again, there's a different problem. So I'm hoping I can kind of sneak the vacuum down in here, and maybe a little bit up here if I can fit it, but I don't want it to fall apart and lose the vacuum part. So I'm gonna see what I can do to get it sucked out and cleaned out. I got that barb fitting snipped, snaked it out the back. Again, it's connected to a rubber hose. This is the guy, don't go anywhere, right here. And you can see there's that hose clamp right there. Now I'll be able to undo that, put a pair of pliers on that, and snake it out of there. And then I'll be able to put that hose clamp further back and put a pair of pliers on it. So when I go to slip the new coolant line through from the front to the back, it'll be easier to connect it than it would have been to kind of disconnect this blindly. And I didn't know where to put my pliers, but now I will. So I'll be getting that coolant line in and reassembling all this mess. All right, final push, final fight. Get this fitting out of this hose. Oh yeah. So now I got the hose off. That means we're free to put the coolant line back in. I'm gonna make sure I have this clamp in a place where I can get to it real easy with the pliers. Because when I feed this thing back, I'm obviously not gonna have any visibility of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna kind of position it back there and see where it's gonna go. I'm gonna make sure it's on the top or on the side here. I like it, I like where it is. Now I know what the clamp looks like. Okay, cool. Now I can go forward and put the new fitting in with the new O-rings and get a snake through the back there. All right, let's see if I can snake it. Actually, how did I had this up here before. There we go. Be careful not to break everything. Could you just cooperate for 2 seconds, please? Why? Why you fight? Would you quit getting in the way? You're driving me nuts. Making me look bad. Okay, can we try this again, please? I need you to go through that guy right there, just like you were. Is that too much to ask? I'll tell you what, I'm gonna move your little friend out of the way, because he's being a pain in my ass. Friend, time for you to move. Okay, friend. Pissing me off. Really pissing me off. All right, update. I've been able to get the coolant hose in place. So now it's hanging on the back. I gotta get that rubber hose in the back. I still gotta throw the bolts into this thing because you can see it has these little flanges with bolt holes right up there. Gotta get those. It came with new bolts from FCP Euro. I'll get that button down and start reassembling. The one bummer, I stupidly broke this plastic line out of this vacuum pump here. There was a rubber hose on it with a hose clamp, and I figured that, you know, who's gonna have a plastic hose sticking out of a aluminum housing? Answer to that is Porsche is. So I snapped that outlet, so I got to replace this. So that sucks. Not gonna be able to finish that today, but I can go ahead and start to reassemble the rest of this thing and try to get it buttoned back up. But look at this mess, crazy. But we'll get it back together. I got the hose and the hose clamp on the back of the coolant line in the back there. It was a nightmare and you couldn't see anything, so I didn't film it, but I got it. So now I'm gonna start bolting down the front ones, putting this coolant pipe back into the front of the intake here, and then I'll put this plastic manifold thingy back on, start buttoning it up. Oh yeah, we got threads. We got threads. Oh yeah, that's good. Maybe that is a partial Yahtzee. Now what? What's your problem now? Who's complaining back here? Is it you? Are you the problem? Well, all right then. Thank you for cooperating. I mean, oh, this is the guy that wants to make everyone's life difficult. You're the problem. Yeah, just you. Where are you supposed to go? I don't know. Here? Well, you better figure it out, because you can't just be hanging out all willy-nilly with nowhere to go. Uh-oh. That's bad. Where'd that guy go? One of the bolts for the intake, which is supposed to be captive, meaning it doesn't come out, is missing. That's bad. Because my fear, obviously, is that it went down the port. All right, so now I'm going to pull it back out and pray to God that it's sitting somewhere on top of the engine. Let me look around. Okay, here we go. Reversal needs to be sitting somewhere obvious. Okay, I'm gonna show you what we're looking for here. So that's what's missing. Now we gotta find it and make sure it didn't fall down one of these nice holes that I just uncovered. That would be bad. But what would be worse, because I can see down those, is if we can't find where it did go. Because that's gonna be real scary, because I don't know where it did go. So while I was on this wild goose chase for this missing bolt for the intake manifold, I first started looking down all the ports into the cylinder head. These bolt right to the cylinder head on this thing. So you can actually see the intake and exhaust ports or valves directly down from the top. And while I was looking down there for this bolt, I noticed that the valves were extremely gummed up, like tons of carbon buildup on them. It looks like black tar. Obviously, that's not good for performance. So I picked up a can of some spray and I also picked up a little brush I'm hoping might work. I don't know if I'll be able to get a drill head that far down there, but I picked up like a little nylon cleaner dealie. I'll give that a try. I could leave it alone and it'd probably run fine, but you know, when you see this stuff, it's like, well, I have this off. I might as well just do it. So I'm gonna try and clean those up a little bit. But the first thing I got to do is go look for that goddamn bolt. So I don't know. You guys won't be able to really see much. I'll stick a camera up, but you probably won't be able to see my hunt, and it's going to suck. So I just got to get to it. One of the tools I have at my disposal today is this really cool borescope camera. Luckily for me, I have friends with really cool tools and they're very generous and lend me stuff like this. Shout out to Peter. So I'm gonna use this to try and locate that bolt since I know about where it is. I know where it fell down. I just can't see it anymore. I'm hoping I can use the borescope to locate it and then figure out if I can use a magnet or like a little squeezy tool to get to it. Or if I have to go underneath the car and try and separate. God, let's hope, heaven forbid, I have to separate the motor from the trans. But I want to at least see if I can get to it from the top. I'll also use the borescope to show you guys the buildup on the back of the valves. So let's get on with the work. There's a window between the bell housing and the block. Why? Why would you have that? All right, well, let's just see what we can see. So camera's working, but I just can't see much. I'm gonna try and stick a magnet down there and hope I get lucky. All right, I just bought this little magnet. Very basic tool, but I'm hoping maybe I'll get lucky and I can stick this thing down there and find it. Doesn't hurt to try. Oh, what's that? Oh, I got it. It did not go down there. Oh my God. Do not this up. Don't drop it. Oh, yes. There it is. We got it. Woo! Magnet for the win. Okay. Hallelujah. This was the bolt I was talking about. You can see it's got this little knurled collar, and that's just supposed to stay in there. But you can see how easily that came out. So when I put the intake down the first time, I accidentally knocked that out. So what I'll do this time is I'll probably put some tape or rags back there. I'll show you where it fell. I actually got pretty lucky that it didn't go where I thought it did. I thought it went in that hole right there. But it was actually in this corner down here to the left of that hole. What a stupid, stupid design. So I'm gonna stick some tape back there or something to cover that, because it's not gonna hurt anything to put something there. But what a dumb, dumb design. Okay, that's good. That means I continue on reassembly, and I think I will also work on getting this air pump back together. Here's the broken hose fitting, or hose, pipe fitting, whatever you want to call it. Here's the new one. I know I could just use the new one. It looks, the same minus the bracket, but if this is OE Porsche, I have to imagine this is, better than wherever this came from. This is probably reman from who knows where. This reman stuff can be okay, but, if it ain't broke, you know what I'm saying? All right, as soon as I figured out that I needed to replace this air pump, I went to my favorite European part supplier, that's FCP Euro. It's not a sponsor plug, just really like their company. They always have parts that I need. Sometimes they're not the cheapest. Like you can see here, they only had the OE option, which was $1,400 plus tax, be way out of my price range. So decided to cross-reference the original air pump part number on Amazon. It's not how I'm searching it in this video, but that's what I did. Came up with a couple different options. Don't trust it as much, but figured if it looked like it's the right pump, I can put the two together. So I ordered this $51 pump after looking at the pictures, and I was able to basically take parts from this and fix mine. So cheap option. We use the borescope now to show you the what the valves look like here. So we're just gonna set this down into the center. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see that or not, but see that? That is no bueno. That looks like the valve over there. And then if we go to the other valve, there you go. You can see that shiny part? I believe that's the valve stem. But look at all that gunk that's on there. You can see I've scraped away a little bit. All right, I'm gonna try and just bring you in with the phone here to take a look at these valves and what I'm talking about. All right, you can just see that's what I'm calling the clean valve. And then if you look down here, you can really see the dirty valve. And again, I've already scraped away at this. You can see there's some loose kind of debris on there, but that's pretty dang dirty. I've already hit this with a shop vac and scraped some of the stuff off, but these are pretty damn dirty. So I'm just gonna spray some of that valve cleaner stuff in there, and then I'm gonna try and clean it with my little tool real lightly. I'm not trying to scratch anything up or anything like that, but it's not gonna hurt to try and clean it up. Bath time, little buddies. Drink it up. All right, I'll let that soak for a while. All right, while I'm letting those valves soak in that cleaner, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this guy. I already started to loosen the assembly here, just these screws held down by the cap. I'll get this off, and then I'm gonna start taking this one apart, double check that they are in fact the same size, and then I can put it all back together. So what I'm doing here is I'm splitting apart the original air pump that I broke the outlet hose fitting on. And since the pump works fine, I'm hoping that I can split this one in half and then repeat the same process with the new one, and that I can just put on the half the housing with the unbroken fitting from my cheap one onto my original. It's just a fan motor, Obviously this is the electric motor that's pulling it. Pretty simple. Here's what we want to know. Can we get this off carefully? First, we gotta remove all the hardware, dude. And it's the same thing. I don't care. I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. This will go on like so. Okay, complete. What I'm gonna do this time, I'm gonna put the rubber hose on it while it's out of the car. And then the aluminum pipe that's in there, that I'll squeeze on there once I get this thing installed. But yeah, where I made the mistake was, this is the hose and that's the clamp on it. I try to squeeze it and then squeeze the hose to come off. You know, you can kind of wrench the hoses off with like a pair of large channel locks. These guys just so stupid. Had I realized this was plastic, definitely would have done that. So this will go like so. I don't know the orientation. I'll figure that out. I'll get this reinstalled. This is the only brush I could find. I have brass versions of this. Real skinny. This is exactly what I need in brass. I can't find it. So I'm gonna try and use this nylon one. It's gonna be, you know, not perfect. Again, it doesn't hurt to try and clean it. Just gonna try and loosen up anything that I can. Whatever it is, it's gonna be better than it was. Let's take a look and see what those valves look like now. Oh my goodness. Much better. You can actually see that they're valves. Yep. Mucho muy better. Oh yeah. That's so much better. Okay, good. I feel good about that. I'm gonna try and get that vacuum pump thing in. I'm gonna figure out which way to orient it. Let's see. I know the hose comes off this way. It's gotta go back like that. Does that line up? Yeah. Okay, I'll squeeze these, clamp this guy on. And then I can probably put the intake back on. All right, here we go. Okay, it's been another day. I got the air pump screwed down, and I believe I'm ready to put the intake back down on the engine here, on the cylinder heads. So much crap. All right, let's see if I can do this without dropping those bolts this time. I'm just placing a rag at the back in case that the rear intake bolts fell out last time. And they can fall down into this valley that's under the intake, which is so stupid. I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of protection from that happening again. So now I'm trying to use that back in. I'm getting, oh, bolt hole alignment. Yes. Good. Now everything's kind of falling into place. I can already see hoses are close to where they're supposed to be. Connectors. Yes. Okay, now I can start to put these intake bolts in. All right, here we go. Intake manifold is bolted down. The vacuum or air pump is bolted down. And now it's just a matter of getting the million hoses and connectors all reconnected. And I think if I just kind of take my time and go by like wire length, it should all kind of fall into place. So yeah, I'm just gonna plug away. See what I did there? Plug away. Oof, that was bad. Somehow this goes to this. Yeah. And then it slides onto this doohickey here. This looks like it clamps to that. Yep. Okay, let's climb down. Let's see if... Oh! 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 Got a shin. Right in the shin. Oh, that hurt. That's gonna bruise. This goes probably here. This definitely goes here-ish. There's hoses and things going on. That goes there. This fits into this. Ow! Moment of truth. I'm gonna start this thing up and look for leaks. It's gonna smoke. I got stuff all over it. Obviously the most scary part of this project, starting it up after I had it completely apart, tinkering on them valves, cleaning them up. Obviously there was a lot of smoke when it started up. You can't see it too much now, but it was pretty cloudy. Again, I poured a bunch of cleaning solution down there, scrubbed it with a brush. It still had a bunch of fluid in there, so I knew it was gonna burn off and be pretty smoky at the beginning. But obviously the biggest fear factor here is that it's such an expensive vehicle. But so far so good. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it gets up to temperature, turns on the fans, doesn't get hot, and then I can stick the engine cover on it and call it a day. Let's hope. All right, well that sound, that feels like a success. That is the sound of the cooling fan coming on. 2 of them. So I'm gonna take that as a good sign. I'm gonna check the gauge and hopefully we're in the clear. All right, I was getting ready to take a test drive in this thing and I saw the temperature gauge starting to kind of bounce up and down a little bit past half. It didn't get hot, but it shouldn't be doing that. So I had a feeling I was gonna do this, but I think I have to bleed the cooling system. Just did a quick search on the interwebs and I think I might have found a way to do it. Of course, it's under this stupid cover. I'm gonna remove this cover to get to the coolant reservoir here. 18,000 clips on this thing. It looks like there's, yeah, I know. I'm gonna do all this stupid stuff here. Aha, it is. All right, I'm gonna show you guys what I found. Okay, I was worried that you needed some kind of special tool to bleed this thing because, you know, Porsche. But from what I found online, this thing is the bleeder. And you just pop it up and it moves this little doodad here up just enough to, I think it's like a steam vent that's coming off the reservoir. So I'm gonna fill this sucker up, start it back up, and use that little guy to bleed it. Let's hope it works. So I'm gonna watch the gauge, make sure it comes up to half temp. If it starts to creep up, do a little bleed here, and see what happens. I've been sitting here with it, revving it to like 3,000, just holding it, getting it heated up. It's definitely putting out a lot of heat now. So, yeah, I guess let's just go drive it and see how it does. Yeah, so for all you non-VW Porsche guys, this vehicle is kind of a little sleeper. It's pretty cool. It tows like crazy, like an F-150, way more than light-duty trucks like Toyotas, and I love Toyotas and stuff, but this thing tows a lot more. It's got air suspension, so it can slam itself to the ground and look pretty cool. It can have like 5-6 inches of clearance in the wheel wells between the tires and the wheels, which is really great for putting a trailer on it. And like I get, a GTS is probably not what you want to use to tow, ideally. But honestly, we've towed with this thing like, I don't know, 3 times, nothing major. We did tow a car with it, open trailer, but it's pretty sporty. It's pretty fun. I think these things are like between 400 and 450 horsepower. The center section of the exhaust actually has no O2 sensors, and you can just, you know, put straight pipes there allegedly. It's got different exhaust modes, it's got different drive modes. It sounds pretty good. It's pretty damn fun. I'll put the exhaust in the sport mode so you can hear. Here's regular. Not bad. And then I'll open up the exhaust here. Yeah, much better. It's a really fun car. All right, let's get this thing and test driving. All right, well, this is what we wanted to see. Been driving for a few minutes, driving a few miles. Like I said, it's already warmed up and it has not moved past this middle of the gauge. So that makes me happy. But yeah, I'm gonna call this a success. Still gonna keep an eye on that thing for a couple days, but make sure there's no air pockets, but she parties. So I'm gonna score that one as a win, guys. like I said, it was pretty scary getting into it, but I try not to psych myself out. I just take my time, do as much research as I can, and you know, just do it. Like I said, the biggest problem I had was trying not to break all the plugs that I was disconnecting. And with all these newer vehicles, everything's mapped out where it should be. You're not going to forget where the sensors go because they can't really go anywhere else. Most of them are proprietary plugs, as far as like you can't put the wrong plug in the wrong place because it just is different. So yeah, it works out. You know, you just, I try and tell myself not to be scared, that it's worth saving all the money, even if I break a couple things, which I may or may not have done. Still, I think all in, this thing was under $200 to fix, and it took me a couple days, but I mean, from what I read, it was gonna be over $1,000 to fix it at a dealership. So I feel pretty good about it. I know this isn't my usual content. Probably couldn't see too well on the repairs I was doing, but I just wanted to really give you guys a glimpse of why I'm not able to finish that thing as fast as I want to, because gotta take care of the dailies first, you know. This is what we run the kids around in. Honestly, it's what we like to drive the most. It's what I like to drive the most. It's most comfortable. I wouldn't say it's fuel economical, but it's comfortable, it's quick. It's just a nice car. So had to get the lady's car fixed up. So got that fixed, and now I can get back onto the fun stuff like that, and yeah, get back to the reason I started this channel. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like it. Feel free to leave any comments. As my kids would tell me to say, please like and subscribe. I feel so weird saying that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and now let's get back to the fun stuff.